Hey, buddy. Hey, everybody. It's Steve. I'm not sure who else is coming today. Lenny, you there?
Yep.
Okay, I see you there. Cool. All right. So, I have a painting crew starting on Monday, supposedly at the house in Plymouth, in the apartment.
Hmm.
Uh, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in there, they'll start. So when your people are looking at it, they can be able to see that we're actually fixing it. Um, so what you want to do with that, since you're the only one on the call right now, I'll just kind of start this. Is you want to put it on Facebook Marketplace. You want to put it on all of the. If you go to my Facebook account, as well as Kelly, who's Kelly Rayfuse, I'll send you her as well. Um, she is she's my property manager. Um, you can look at all the different groups we're members of. You can promote it there. You can promote it on. I mean, you can do a listing if you want. Don't. I mean, we're licensed to do a listing, but I'm just not sure that anyone gives a crap about the MLS for a rental.
Right.
Um, and obviously, any questions you have on that, let me know. Um, but yeah, so that will be getting started. We definitely want to get people in there. He wants 15. Would he go down a little bit? Probably, but they're getting water and heat included. The only thing they're paying is their electric bill.
Right.
And just so you know, a little intricacy on that one. I don't think the electric on the second floor is completely pure, i.e., I think there's some first floor circuits on the second floor's bill.
Hmm.
So he's probably going to pay the first floor's bill for a little bit, or the second floor's bill for a little bit too, until he gets that straightened out.
Okay.
Um, any questions for me before we kind of get started on the training, or?
Um. No, I mean, I have something on a Shamokin lead. Um, Max had sent me over a lead that was on Facebook and had reached out to the guy, and he said, I think it was the one that you said you had in Shamokin that you had mentioned to me. Um, and he said that he signed a contract with you, but didn't hear from you in a little bit. So I just wanted to, you know,
Well, actually, I talk to him almost every other day.
okay.
And we were getting nowhere he wanted 62, so we were at like 68 or 66 or something. We brought it way down and we were getting nowhere.
Hmm.
So literally, and then I sent him a listing agreement, which he finally signed. He kept saying, I didn't get it, I didn't get it, I didn't get it. I said, well, I actually, um, I actually sent the listing agreement to my email and I sent him the link, and I'm literally right now logging in on it. It's Joe Toka, I think is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I don't know why this thing isn't flying off the shelves, because it's a single. It's got a 10 in there for $1,200 a month.
Hmm.
1,100 plus they're paying $100 for their water and sewer. Um, so like I don't know why this one hasn't. I do not know why this one hasn't gone like bye bye so quickly. It's not even funny.
Yeah. That price point and the rent there for that area is both pretty good. But yeah, I told him that I would let you know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw
Yeah,
it
so
out
like
there.
I right now hold a listing contract because we weren't getting anywhere on the other, and he signed the listing yesterday. And really, what happened was there were 3 or 4 days of I send it over, I never hear back from him. I call him up and say, "Hey Joe, I didn't get it, I didn't get it, I didn't get it." Okay, and that's fine. That happens. Whatever.
Mhm.
DocuSign chews it up and spits it out and whatever. Okay, so we have it. We have it listed at 70,000 with a 5.5 commission or 3,000 minimum, whatever, covering both sides.
Mhm.
Whenever I go from wholesale to realtor, I always start with a 5.5. I'm not starting with 6 if they've already trusted me with the wholesale. I've
Right.
had to jump. So we have that one. If you want to take that, I mean that can be your listing. That's fine. I don't care. We just need to get now. The reason we went listed on it, the other reason, just so you understand the whole picture, is his tenant is very terrified about losing her owner. basically.
Hmm.
And I tried to talk to her, and I had hired a boots on the ground down there. Which I need to get back to that girl actually and get her on. But I'd hired a boots on the ground. She was calling the tenant, texting the tenant, getting nowhere. I called and texted the tenant, and the tenant stopped responding to me. And I called Joe up, and I said, Joe, listen, I need some help here. He's like, well, so it's only licensed realtors going through. I said, no, Joe, it's not only licensed realtors going through. It is, you didn't sign a listing agreement. You sign a listing agreement. It's only licensed realtors. She's like, well, she's nervous about her security and her safety and this and that. I said, then the only choice is let's list it. If your question is, is there only licensed realtors? My answer is the only way you get only licensed realtors is you do a licensed listing.
Right.
Now, I have to tell you, I don't know whether Joe would have been better off. And I told him, I said, I'm not your broker down the street. I'm not your guy down the street. I said, you understand that I am not your guy down the street. There may be value in going to a realtor down the street. He's like, I understand, no problem. I said, okay, great. As long as we've covered that. Because I'm looking at this and saying, if it wasn't just one property, if I had good boots on the ground nearby, I'd buy the damn thing for $70,000.
Hmm.
I mean, to spend 70 and collect $1,100 a month, plus she pays an extra $100 for water and sewer. To spend 70 and have Section 8 give me $1,100 a month, I'm done.
Yeah, right.
And in fact, I'm actually sending this off to my DSCR lender right now to see if he, and I just figure it out. But so this one we have, it's a license agreement. So now we need to get somebody over there to take pictures, which I can send her over. That's fine. I can have a non-licensed do pictures.
Hmm.
But when he said, are all the people visiting going to be licensed agents? I said, no, not if you're under a wholesale agreement, they won't be.
Right.
And I mean, I got no problem. And you know what? If you told me 2 days ago that Max wanted to grab it, I would have been like, fine. Because anytime we can't move a property like this, I'm saying, you know what? There is something wrong. We were not getting the traffic. There is something wrong. So I mean, looking at the numbers, it's a total win. But sometimes those things happen. Like I've got a triple out in Farrell, or 4 individual single houses. Cash flow, they're worth 150, 160. We were lucky to get a $95,000 offer.
Well.
Because apparently that's a drug-infested portion of Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have him signed in a listing. Now we just need to get Sarah or somebody over there to take pictures. And the tenant is not going to be easy to deal with on that one. She's just not.
That's the most fun part when there's ever a tenant. I mean, rarely are they ever cooperative,
All right. And that's why, like, if I can find a property manager down there, or even a boots on the ground, I mean, I might even just send this off to my DSCR guy and tell him, listen, I'll just buy, if I could staff it, I'd probably buy it.
Mm.
I've never bought anything outside my own area, mostly because, oh my God, what do I do when the toilet breaks and the contractor doesn't answer my calls?
Right.
So that's where we are with that one. And so I'm actually downloading the PDF for the contract for right now, and I'm going to send it over to you right now so you have it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need, really any part of it at all. I told him, when I spoke to him, that I'd mention it to you. So I just wanted to, at least ask, see where it was at.
Well, I mean, and I mean, certainly, if you guys can help market it, I mean, I can pay. It's easier to pay you than it is to pay them because they're not licensed. But and I'm just sending you the full package just so you can see it, and also I'm sending it to GPJ's Realty, as well, just so it gets in the file. My VA that I hired kind of crashed and burned, so I got to start with the new ones. I was supposed to do all my back office stuff. I mean, she's a sweet person. She crashed and burned for all the right reasons. Apparently, in her country, electricity is not something you get every day of the week. It's something you get, but then it's something that can simply disappear mysteriously. And it happened to be the week we started, disappeared for a week. And I said to her, I'm sorry. I said, you seem like a sweet person, but I said, I understand your country has these problems occasionally, but I realize the entire part of the world seems to have this problem, but I said, right now, today, I don't know how to answer that. I just brought someone on board. I can't try them out. I don't know what to do with that.
Right.
So anyway, so yeah, so I just sent you Joe, and I'm gonna text Joe now and let him know we got it. And that we're starting to now. We're basically back to square one because we never got in there. Her tenant wouldn't let us get in there to take pictures.
Yeah.
I have a total of one photograph, which is of an empty room with beautifully. It sounds like he did a great job refinishing the apartment.
Mm.
So yeah, so that one.
Yeah, I'll take a look in general at the packet there, just so I can get a, obviously filling out listing agreements and whatnot, but just to see what you put in where, and if you do anything, just a nice review for me to look at. So
Yeah, and I actually thought that I had it downloaded, but weird it didn't download. Oh, my download is a zip. Okay, I downloaded a zip. That's why. All right. So anyway, so basically, yeah. So that one, unfortunately, that's and then and I feel bad because I know Joe had another property. He wanted to sell this one and put the money into another one, and unfortunately, if his tenant had been cooperating, because I have 5 buyers that want to see it.
right.
So probably what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to set up an appointment for, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday. And I'm going to send Sarah over there, and I'm going to send a couple other people over there to see it as well, so to try to make a gang showing. Because I totally get the tenant being cagey. I don't all knock at that.
You said you don't get it?
No, I totally get the tenant being upset or being concerned. But what I said to the tenant is, I said, ma'am, I said, the way Pennsylvania law works is, and it's sort of more broker education than what I said, whatever her agreement is, we're stuck with as the buyer. So if she's got an agreement until next, October 14th at this price, like it or not, we're stuck with it. There's nothing we can do. We can't change her. I mean, we can change the names on the papers. We can issue a new lease with the same terms because I'm obviously no longer as a Joe Togus or landlord. But I can't change her terms. But tenants still get scared. They get very scared. And I don't not understand it. This is, for us, this is an investment. For us, this is a property. For them, this is their only home.
Right.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of answers on how to fix their fear, but I get their fear.
Yeah. I mean, all of them that I have dealt with and talked to, like you said, it's their home. Their biggest thing is they don't want a new owner to come in and boot them out of there, so.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to get her to understand that, number one, why the hell would I want to?
Yeah.
That income. Number two is I can't. Even if I want to, I can't.
Right.
So, and she wasn't letting anyone, and so yeah, so this should have flown. I mean, I had 6 or 7 interested parties on a wholesale. Lack of access is what killed it.
Yeah.
And once he said, well, you're only sending over licensed agents, that's why we're here. Kind of without recapping it, that's why we're here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I got from what he told me, because he told me about only showing with the licensed agent thing too, and that's, you can't get in the property, you can't really do anything. So
yeah. So it's like I mean, I get it. Again, from the tenant side, I get it, but from our standpoint, how do we operate it?
Right
now, that will get the more licensed wholesalers we get, and the more licensed wholesalers we get here, that gets so much easier. Because all of a sudden we become. Or let me just share that screen. Let me show this one. All of a sudden our answer to that becomes yes. That's going to be the credibility play for us moving forward. And remember, that's where the more wholesalers you get on board, they actually come in not under you in terms of responsibility, but under you in terms of you make 5% of whatever they make.
Right.
Any agent you bring in, you make 5%. So like, I'm incentivizing people like crazy because I want to, in the next 3 months, I want to grow the brokerage firm. I want to be 15 agents by February.
Mhm.
Anyway, so what other what I mean, so I mean that property, and I actually I'm going to pull up the DSCR spreadsheet real quick, and this is what I'm sending down to my lender. So DSCR stands for debt service, and this isn't really today's training, but I'll just cover it real quick. So DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. So this is, I think, Franklin Samokin.
And they do DSCR on single families.
We can DSCR singles. They don't love singles, and I've never brought a DSCR to the or a single to this DSCR lender that I'm going to send this to. But the reason I run the DSCR anyway on everything is yes, he doesn't even actually have single as one of his choices.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I got that from Joe as well, and I didn't see it on there.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I include it anyway is that I include it because he has it locked, so I can't even change it. But anyway, I include it because according to Joe, every lender uses DSCR. So whether it works DSCR or it works traditional, I don't care. So the property value is about 100,000 because the comps are also amazing in the area. Loan amount of 72,000. Now, obviously, if I'm buying from Joe at 72, I'm putting some money into the deal. But I also talked to Taylor Farr. Actually, this morning I talked to Taylor Farr over at First Columbia. Again, my problem here and in Farrell, I would have grabbed, and actually I've got one out in Altoona. I want to start grabbing these, but I don't have bodies on the ground to run them. So I was actually going to reach out to Max and see if he had bodies who would run them for me. I don't care about proper management. I care about boots on the ground.
Right.
So, and if you've seen Joe's form, you pretty much know the deal. The rent is going to be, so the rent is $1,200. I guess if you've already seen the form, I don't need to bother going through it. But less vacancy. I always like 0.1. So basically, you pretty much run the DSCR spreadsheet. This property is gonna rock on DSCR. I think management equals that times this. And I beat up everything. I beat up. Meaning I do this is that times that. Then you have another 1,200, and I'm putting his snow and I'm going to put his other operating expenses. That's his water and sewer. Your insurance is 800. Your taxes, I think, are 1,500. So then something in his spreadsheet isn't talking right. Living in West Missouri.
Maybe the loan section up top. No. Yeah, where's that 250 coming from?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That if multifamily, he has like a built-in less reserves or something. Forget that for this particular purpose. Oh crap! I should have saved copy before I started screwing with this thing. I'll have to download it again. So then less annual debt service. So now let me look at this because I'm looking at this saying, okay, 14.4 minus 1440 minus 1440 minus 1440 minus 1,500 in taxes, 800, 1,200 in other operating, so total expenses, so 6,580. Less annual debt service. So he's actually saying this is not a great DSCR deal. Now, he's saying that this is actually a loser of a DSCR deal, and I want to figure out why that is. Now he does not do 30% maintenance vacancy management. That's the first thing. He does 10% total. So if I put in 10% total for this, it's going to win like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so it's going to be, and of course, we're actually at 6.7 now, 30 years. I'm over, maybe I'm not sharing this. I'm over a mortgage calculator. Calculate. Oh, wait. Okay, good. So, yeah, 483 is your payment. So equals 483 times 12. Yeah, so okay, so basically he's seeing it with 30%, it does not cover DSCR. Now if I did 0.05, 0.05, 0.05, now it blows DSCR out of the water.
Right.
It's 1.47. So therein lies the thing. Like, and actually, he doesn't even do he does 10% total, not 15%. So this property makes good cash flow. It really does. So this property should fly off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
And I was careful with Joe because I told him, I said, look, I said, I'm not your guy down the street. I said, I'm not going to be the guy making your showings. I'm not going to be the guy showing up. Are you sure about this? So anyway, so that's where this one goes. And we don't normally run, as you can probably guess, we don't normally run DSCR sheets on our clients.
Right.
But because I'm considering buying it, I run a DSCR sheet on my clients.
Absolutely.
So I mean, this should be, and I'm going to actually save this as a copy. Now, the other way that I run evals, just because we're on this topic real quick, then we'll get to what we're supposed to be talking about today, is I have another simplified sheet, rent versus purchase. Where I put in 1,200, lot rent, tax, insurance, let's see. So taxes, insurance is 800 over 12. Well, lot rent is actually not relevant in this particular case. So then this takes it right down here. This says cash in hand monthly. So NOI is after maintenance vacancy management. AGI is no maintenance vacancy management taken out. Not surprisingly, these are the same numbers down here. DSCR value. And mortgage value is a plugged-in number. So this says NOI after my maintenance vacancy management divided by this 1.25 debt service coverage ratio gives me a payment of that. So now I go to mortgagecalculator.org and I start hunting for what that can afford. What can $534 get? I won't waste the time here. You've seen these before, but basically, and these are just filled in numbers. What's the mortgage value? And this equals that divided by this, which is this equals this divided by 80%.
I'm on your mortgage calculator. I'm not sure. Yeah.
All right. So DSCR value. This is your net operating income If your DSCR is 1.25, that's how much money you have each month to do a mortgage with. Now, this will tell you what your mortgage value can be, which this is not a number. This comes from mortgagecalculator.org. So whatever your profit is, divide by 1.25 that, and then you go to mortgage calculator, and this will eventually do it automatically. If you go to mortgage calculator and you say, okay, I want to borrow 72,000 at 6.7 over 30 years with, let's say, nothing taken out. What's that going to cost? So I'm doing this backwards, and I'm saying, okay, I need to make a number. I need to make this number match the 520 that's over there. So Joe can give me a mortgage for, according to mortgage calculator, something around $80,000. So now I jump back over here, and it can afford an $80,000 mortgage value, which means it can afford a purchase price of $100,000. So Joe's spreadsheet told me something slightly different than my basic spreadsheet. My basic spreadsheet tells me this property can afford me.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to go looking a little bit deeper as to why and whatever. But basically, and if this is 0.65 LTV, then the property is worth 123. Actually, no, it's the other way around. It should be worth. Yeah, right, because you're bringing more to the table. Never mind, this is right. Then we have cap rate version. If your annual is this, your annual profit is NOI times 12, which is this times 12, 80/20. If I'm 80/20 is here, if I'm doing 80/20 divided by 10%, it's worth $80,000. And this one is cash on cash value. We can teach that in other classes. The point is, and this is flip value. If the ARV is, I'm seeing $120,000 in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be done for 84,000. Well, I'm buying it for 72, and it's pretty much done. If I had to throw a roof or something on there, I'm fine. So if my rehab cost was, I'm sorry, hang on one second. My wife keeps calling.
Well,
Yep.
Hey, so did you take $3,000 out of?
All right, I'm back. All right. So anyway, so this is another way to analyze rental property, which was only brought up because of Joe Toke's thing. All right. So what questions do you have, since nobody else has shown up, I guess? But what questions do you have as far as broker stuff, or should I kind of go into the next piece of it?
Well, my next thing in line, which I don't know if it's going to be time consuming to cover, but I got, like, for this land listing agreement signed. Everything will be signed, and I got the land pictures. Now my next step will be putting it on. So that's kind of my questions and main concerns would be that portion.
Okay, which is actually what I wanted to cover because I figured you were kind of there. So let me lock into Scranton Flex MLS.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my coffee real quick.
Yeah. Oh, I owe them money. Oops. All right. So actually, I actually need to pay the board. Apparently, I'm behind on paying the board, so I need to pay the board to get this fixed. Let me just figure out how I can. You know.
Yeah, I didn't realize all the training / orientations associated with, joining everything as well.
What?
Just all the training and orientation, from as a PARNAR, after the fact of
Yeah.
getting your license and whatnot.
Yeah, they like their training. All right, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to send you a link to the listing training. If you want to pull up the listing, the Flex on your thing,
Mm-hmm.
then if you want to pull the Flex up on your thing, then I can give you that basically. So if you pull up Flex on your computer, I can have you present your Flex screen and I can show you.
Alrighty, just one second.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because I'm on a video call, but my Wi-Fi is not kicking
Okay.
too
Well,
hard right now.
So so basically, and I'll call Joyce and get my account straightened out because I didn't realize I missed an invoice. I do that actually way too often. But so basically, what you
I
do.
can do it
Okay.
if you want to do that.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
No, let me actually figure out why I can't see your screen. But yeah, there you are. Sorry, now I see your screen. Okay, there you are. All right, so flip over to Flex. All right, so go over to the handle below Flex MLS. Yep. Add listing. All right, so property type. Land, right?
Yep.
And remember, you send it to me at Gorilla. You send it to GPGH Realty. And then I'll also show you, maybe we'll do it on this call or we'll do a different call, whichever. I'll show you the paperless pipeline. If we don't do it today, we'll do it next week when everybody's here.
Okay.
Co-listing member, you can list me or not, I don't care. Tax ID number, enter something. If you have the tax ID number, it's always better.
And is is that the pin that they're referencing?
And yeah, the PIN, the whatever, parcel ID, whatever they call it in that community. And obviously it won't load tax records, so then you do next. Give it an address. It wants to put it on the map. I mean, if you just say, whatever street, it won't be able to put it on a map, but it's better to have an actual address. Obviously, so whatever the PIN number has as an address is what you go with.
Okay. I have to pull all that up right now. Do you want to
Yeah,
try
that's fine. No.
for
So, yeah, so the
example purposes? Just
yeah, I'll walk you through what it is. You don't have to do it while I'm watching. Just
okay.
And obviously, red is required. Not red is helpful, but not required.
Yeah, I'll just fill in whatever for now.
Yeah.
Or I should probably do Pennsylvania.
Yeah, since I don't think I'm surprised it even shows other states when we're not licensed there.
Right. Will it catch, it knows that Albrightsville isn't in Lackawanna? Should I go with
I don't know if it cross-references the fields. It might not. And parcel number, it's parcel number and tax ID number are not the same in all communities. They are in some communities.
just throw something in here for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you hit next. And it literally just kind of, it wants to geocode that address. You can just close. You can edit address. You can manually locate it. You can close. It doesn't care. I don't think it's going to care. I hope it doesn't. It might force you to. We'll see. Yeah. So it's manually locate, pick something. It wants a dot on the map because that's how, when you're doing CMAs and stuff, you anchor off a dot on the map.
Okay.
I mean, for right now, use this location. It doesn't matter. And you fill in the reds. And a lot of these questions you won't know. So what you do is you look at a listing of a neighboring property. You look at the last listing for next door, and they'll be there. If not, you ask them. Listing contract date, expiration, property subtype. Listing agreement. Of course, it's an exclusive right to sell. We don't do the other kind. Owner name. They don't like you to fake it, but if your guy wants to be private or something, you can fake it.
Is there, more after this? Should I go through all these red fields here and?
No, I mean, pretty much. Then when you fill in these red fields, you go to details. It'll answer. It'll give you red fields there. It'll give you broker distribution. It'll give you red fields there. But pretty much, broker distribution is going to be. What can I say? Broker distribution is going to be. Are we listing on the MLS? And yeah. Well, of course we are, because we're putting it in here. Now, technically, things that are not listed on the MLS, like technically Shamokin or the rental, you can put in here for records purposes because it still counts a point toward your license.
Okay.
But you can also just, when you're ready for your broker's license, you're going to hand me a spreadsheet with all of your things that you've completed. So what I tell everyone to do is keep a Google spreadsheet now, and as you do listings, as you do leases, as you do this, as you do closings, keep it all in the spreadsheet. And then when it's time for your broker's license, you present it to me. I double check it, of course, and then I sign off on it.
And all this is best of knowledge. Just select whatever.
Yeah, basically. But and remember, it's best of his knowledge and your knowledge combined.
Right.
And the good news is all listings are, what do you call it? All listings are information is assumed accurate but not guaranteed. It says that at the bottom of the MLS everywhere.
Mm.
So, it's like if you're a little wrong, no one's going to kill you for it.
Okay, so this is where it'll automatically put on here once you do list. Okay.
Yep. Once you like seller direct to be excluded from the internet, I don't know why excluded or whatever happened, but it will also distribute to here. Now I had one where I listed it and it didn't show up, and there was some glitch that I entered. Like I entered North Aspen Lane, and apparently Zillow didn't have a North Aspen Lane, so Zillow didn't post it. It wasn't until we removed the North that Zillow took it. So when you tell it yes and you tell it go, 24 hours later, go and check and make sure they're there. Because I had a seller that got really ripped at me. He's like, how come it's not on Zillow? I'm like, I actually don't know. It's supposed to automatically go to Zillow. It's kind of what it does.
Yeah.
And it was like, how come you didn't notice the glitch? I said, well, I guess from now on I'll manually check them after they list. I never thought of that.
Yeah. Now, where do you add when it's time for like pictures? Is that like a next step after this portion?
When you save the listing
Uh-huh.
and it goes back out again, or you save in, you can up in the upper right, you'll see add listing when you're done.
Uh-huh.
You hit add listing now, it's going to tell you 4,824 errors. It won't let you add until the errors are filled in.
Right.
Or save it. I know when you add listing, it brings you back to, and you go back to change. So if you went back to the hamburger again under menu, and you go up hamburger, there we go, change listing, right, or add listing, middle column, change listing, which I'm not sure you have any listings. Yeah, you can leave this because whatever. Or you can save as incomplete if you want.
Yeah, I'll have to restart on when I do it anyway. So.
Yeah. So change listing, leave because you're not, we didn't really do much there anyway. Of course, you don't have any listings, but when you go back here, if this listing was here, it was incomplete or it was added, then they'll add photos is another button under this. Add documents is another button under this. Add documents being your disclosures and your land, all the different land documents you had them fill out.
Okay.
So once you enter the listing, it'll then let you add photos.
Okay.
Once you enter the listing, it'll then let you add the other crap. Obviously, if you added it now, it has nowhere to put it.
Right. Yep.
Mentality standpoint, it has nowhere to put it.
Yeah, no, I mean that portion was my next, main concern. So, step-by-step basis after, that covers, I guess, essentially what I would have questioned and had question-wise up to this point.
Yeah. And oopsie, I just pushed the wrong button. Now I'll show you paperless pipeline, and next week will be a real training on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give you a quick kind of. Boy, my computer loves to ask me its password over and over again. Going into paperless pipeline, it asked me the Windows protection of passwords. I'm like, I already logged in. I'm not sure what you're protecting me from. So you'll go to transactions. Now you'll see here empty. If I have things saved as empty, you don't need to add a new transaction. You can steal the empty transaction. Or you can add transaction. And this is just like a 30-second version. And you fill all the stuff in. Now what you're also going to fill in, listing date, acceptance date, close date, earnest money due date, earnest due deposit date, all this. You put these dates in. This thing's like a mini CRM. It'll remind you, hey, earnest money due date is coming up. Hey, whatever. And of course, you have to tell it what kind of a transaction, what kind of a property it is, and what role we're playing, MLS and transaction number, listing date, contingency dates, buyer, seller information. And it'll walk you through who are the agents involved. I have to add you in here, actually. And then you'll add the transaction. Now, once you add the transaction, it will give you, I'll open empty. anything you email to this email address, this funny long one here,
Mhm.
will end up in this transaction.
Right.
And if we look at an older transaction, for example, and you look at here are my documents for this older transaction. This is a very come and go transaction, never actually happened.
So if I do send to that email, it'll come up in this little log here.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. So basically, and there's more refined filing of where the paper is supposed to go, that of what you should do. But at the end of the day, the inspector walks in my office. He says, "I have a question about 129 East Grand Street, Nanticoke. Show me that you had a consumer notice." Click. There's a consumer notice. Oh, okay, you have a consumer notice. Great, nice day. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question of whatever listing contract, seller's estimate of closing costs, whatever. I mean, actually, this one actually did not sell, and they're asking me to relist it for them. They've come to their senses on prices, bluntly. So I'm going to print this out. I'm going to have to export this document so that I can just reuse this listing agreement, because why would I reinvent the wheel? Oh, you're not even seeing this part. Sorry. So it pops up and boom, I can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, so that's where, when you send it to GPGH Realty, and then you're gonna have to go fish, because it ends up in this unassigned directory here, which I don't know why we're not all of a sudden presenting that unassigned directory. It ends up in the unassigned directory from hell, which goes on for page after page. Which once a quarter I hire someone from Fiverr to go through and file things that haven't been filed,
Mm-hmm.
and just stick them in the right folders, so I have them in the right folders. But if you just send it to GPGH Realty, it ends up in unassigned docs. And then there is a whole process that goes after that. That once you finish, and if we enter into a transaction again, I'll just show you real quick. When you finish, your transaction has a checklist over here. Have we done the lead-based paint addendum? Have we done this? Have we done that? Once you finish and you're like, this file, now I can check in whenever I want to, of course, but you say, Steve, this file is ready. Then it goes through a broker review process, meaning I look at it and I decide if it's ready. And that's, so before the checks are cut, that's one of the steps, is before the checks are cut, as we're rounding to closing, or rounding to the end of the deal, whatever that might be, before the checks are cut, sorry, I forgot the camera was on. Before the checks are cut, I'm going to look at the documents and make sure that you've, not to be too crude about it, but make sure that you've done your job in getting all the documents together. Now, probably I'm looking at them until you're comfortable. I'm looking at them as we go as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when we round around to closing, I want to make sure we have this. Now, one of the documents that goes in here is a picture of the deposit check. One of the documents that goes in here is. So, that's basically, but basically this will be a training probably in a week or so, probably next week's training, to say that, hey, you know what, this is what you, when you, now that you've signed a listing, next week we'll train on what you do with that listing paperwork. And we'll take you through, here's what happens in paperless pipeline, here's what happens in whatever.
Right.
So I'll and for you, I'll probably do a video on this today or tomorrow and send it over so you can get these in here.
Yeah, it'd be great.
And now empty? Let me take this empty. What's the name of the transaction?
I have it.
Or what's the name of the property?
I have it as Vacant Land Belleville.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this email address right now.
Perfect.
That way you can just send everything, and that'll end up in Vacant Land Belleville, and it'll at least be Oh. So anything you send to that address that I just emailed you
Mm-hmm.
will go directly, and it'll just be sitting. It'll be sitting in that. It'll be in that correct transaction. It won't be assigned to a. Is it a listing document? Is it a sales document? Is it whatever? Because it has different subcategories.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it'll be in the right directory. And if you think about what the law says, we must keep file on this. Truthfully, the law doesn't even say we must keep file folders on this. We could throw them all into a giant box, and the law would be okay with that. So yes, we want to put them properly in the right. Is it a listing? And the reason you do put it, is it a listing document? Is it a whatever document? Is because depending on how you file these documents, like listing docs are only visible to the listing broker and the listing agent. Well, when you enter the other parties involved in a transaction, you enter the buyer agent, you enter the title company.
Mm-hmm.
The title company has access to certain documents. The buyer's agent has access to certain documents. So by properly filing things, the title company will never ask you, hey, show me a copy of the agreement of sale. Well, they will ask you because they're never going to do their own jobs, but they shouldn't have to because you've given them a link and said, hey, here's where you go to look for all of the documents involved in this transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you would assign this document out, unassigned document, or unassign it or move it to a different thing. That's why you would put it under listing docs, or you put it under title docs, you put it under buyer docs, so that all the people who need to see it can see it.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, all the people who need to see it are going to ask you for it, and you're going to have to go and get it and send it to them.
Right.
In theory, all the people who need to see it can see it. That's the theory.
Yeah, no, I mean, at least until it is set up. Yes, having that email will be nice. I'll just shoot those over.
Yeah, and I'm going to set you up right now. Yesterday, I set up your email address, I'm just waiting for it to propagate, to attach.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have your email address tomorrow, and you'll have this. You'll be your email address today, and you'll have your this today. In fact, I'll go in right now and add you to that. And add you to it. Manage users. All right, cool. All right, so that's really where you're going next. You're going to start listing that one. You're going to list if you want to list, and you take another transaction for the apartment. Well, I guess technically I take another transaction for the apartment because I signed the document. But you're promoting it, but basically there'll be another transaction for the apartment. So when we get an application from a tenant, that gets filed here. When we get whatever, it gets filed here. We get the application, we get the security deposit, we get the lease, we get the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It'll all in that way. If anybody ever says this wasn't done, this is here. And what I like about this software is that whole thing of consumer notices have to be kept for 6 months, and this has to be kept for 3 years. Nope, it's all there forever. We're done. And you don't have to be here. You don't have to be at your house. You can be. I mean, this is global. This is whatever. This is all cloud. So we're. All right. Actually, she's moved on to a different farm, so I'll have to pick that up. All right, so I guess we're in good shape, right?
Yep, that covers me for the time being.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.